If you always picture the UC Berkeley campus as a setting for a picturesque and tranquil environment graced by halls of higher learning, you'd be laughed at, and dead wrong. After a string of tuition hikes and budget cuts, students there and in colleges across California are fired up and forming a response to a tune that's far from Socratic dialogue. This may be a little bit further than your usual weekend bender, but this was Friday night / Saturday morning for some students at Berkeley. They railed against budget cuts and tuition hikes throughout the entire university system. The state's university system says it will need to increase university tuition by a whole lot the next academic year to make up for the state's multi-billion-dollar budget gap. And joining us now to talk about the most recent riots near the UC Berkeley campus is UC Berkeley PhD candidate Callie Madoff. Callie, thank you for joining us today. Tell us, first of all, I mean, we have a sense of what kind of started this, but to the extent that it went, can you describe why it went so far as it did?
Well, I think it's really symptomatic of the sort of anger and frustration that people are feeling here in California and at UC Berkeley, that people have really been subject to a lot of police repression. Previous protests had extreme examples of police brutality. And on campus also, people are facing a lot of student conduct charges where people are not getting due process and are facing even possible suspensions. So I don't think people feel like they're being heard, and I think people feel like they are not even allowed to speak.
Callie, for the people out there in the world, across the globe, who don't exactly know what you as UC students are going through, what are we talking about? You know, you said skyrocketing tuition rates. I'm guessing there are other things besides that, layoffs of great professors. Tell me, give me a sense, describe to me what you guys are going through that just absolutely causes this outrage.
Absolutely. Well, in the fall, the UC Regents voted in a 32% fee increase to over $10,000 a year for in-state tuition. This at the same time that they're cutting classes, letting in fewer students from in-state and more students from out of state. So effectively, we are closing off the campus, making it less accessible to people. And those who are here are getting less out of their education.
Okay. And just to give people at home a sense of, you said $10,000 a year for the base tuition, I'm guessing for in-state students. $10,000 a year may not sound like an astronomical amount for a lot of college students out there, a lot of parents out there who are paying for their child's education. But $10,000, if we compare what it once was for UC students, we're talking about an astronomical figure, are we not? Can you describe that for me a little bit more?
Well, I mean, it's doubled in the last 10 years, and I don't think that there's any other state where you have public education costing anywhere near that. $10,000 a year is a very high price to pay, particularly considering that it's across the board for the UCs. It's not just for UC Berkeley, which of course people look to across the world as this amazing institution, but also institutions where, like UC Merced, where individually by the student, they're allotted less money than they're even spending on tuition.
Do you have to necessarily resort to, I mean, from just the video, do you have to necessarily resort to violence? I mean, in some ways, your message that you're trying to send to the regions, to an audience out there, kind of gets tarnished by the fact that violence is now erupted out.
Yeah. Well, I think that nobody planned what happened early morning on Friday, that something like that just isn't something that even becomes planned, but that anger erupts when this situation has been building so long, that's what happens. I would really back away from trying to separate good protesters from bad protesters. It really divides the movement, and you know, it hurts us trying to get to our final goals.
Callie Madoff, UC Berkeley student and student representative, thank you so much for joining us today.